Hello! Before I begin, I'd like to give a big shout out to Linda and Floyd, who've been a great help to me. They've sent me on links and sent on suggestions, helped me out with this world building project. Guys, thank you so much. Your help is really appreciated, and for years you guys have been there for me, supporting and being helpful. Thank you so much. I suppose before I go much further, I think I should really define the parameters. It's so open. There's infinite number of stories to tell, infinite number of worlds. But to stop myself exploring all those infinite possibilities, I should pare down my options, at least initially, for the first. So how I'm setting this world, it is a tech-noir, cyberpunk world, about 300 years in the future. Humans have basically figured out how to get all around the universe, or galaxy, not 100% sure yet, but nonetheless, in this universe, in this setting, humans are the only civilization that exists, are the only sentient, naturally occurring species. I said naturally occurring because I will also wish to include AI and artificial life. Two very different things. Now, this world, I think, will have very diametrically opposing ideologies. There will be the Catholic ideology and an materialist ideology. And there will be other factions. I'm thinking 2 to 3 others, maybe Eastern ideologies. Why am I doing it this way? Well, my whole point is to use these stories to tell a gospel tale, to tell a very Catholic story. Just as though with J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, the Christian message may not be explicit, but it is intended. The Catholic faction will be less technologically advanced than the materialist faction. The reason being that the materialist faction won't use morals to hold them back, much as what we see today in science, where scientists claim that they know better than everyone else, and they will ignore warnings and saying if you dig too deep you will unleash demons. Just as in J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, the dwarves released the Balrog. And that is one aspect I intend on exploring, where playing around with genetics, playing around too far with transhumanism, unleashes demons and creatures that should have remained bottled. Exploring places so deep that they stirred something that should never have been approached. That's kind of where I'm coming from. That I can take biblical prophecies, biblical stories, and apply these tales to them. And through those stories, tell the Christian message. Redemption, the dangers of ignoring God, the dangers of going against God's creation, and what the consequences are. A lot of this stuff hasn't been locked down, and I would appreciate your input and want to know what you think. Obviously, there are going to be grey areas between, and I want to raise the ethical questions where the Catholic approach, and I'm calling Catholic approach, is not necessarily Catholic Church or Catholics, but it's those who follow Catholic doctrine, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Just as in C.S. Lewis' Last Battle, one of the enemy's soldiers followed Aslan without him being aware of it. He did the will of God. He did. The idea is here we'll be approaching the baptism of desire, that had you known about God, truly known, you would have followed his teachings. And that is something to explore, where we may take a negative character, flip them around and make them positive. Taking on ideas. Much of these ideas I'll be using have already been approached by authors much better than I can ever hope to be. C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, J.K. Chesterton, and I'm reading other science fiction books. I'll be looking at science fiction stories, fantasy stories, different, lots of drawing from lots of different sources. Just to give a heads up, I'm reading Altered Carbon by Richard K. Morgan at the moment, and to me it is raising a lot of really excellent ethical questions. What is human? What is a soul? Is the body and soul intrinsically linked, or is the human spirit where the soul resides? It's a concept that I will like to approach, because in researching this, I'll get to know my faith deeper also. And it is something that all of us must do, regardless of what we believe or don't believe. We need to question our faith. We need to have answers for ourselves and for others for the reasons we believe. If you cannot find an answer for your questions, dig deeper. If you're a scientist, dig into science. If you cannot find an answer there, look elsewhere. Look to faith. Honestly, with my faith, it doesn't come into conflict with the science that is being revealed. I read a scientific text as, this is how God created the heavens and the earth. A universe 14 billion years old, give or take a few years. I'm not saying whether it was at breakfast or tea time on that date, but it was around those dates. But if you are fundamentally on one side or the other, pure religion, pure science, you need to look at each, because you will find out the how in science and the why in faith. God is above it all and brings it together. And that is hopefully where these books will take people. I think the best way is, as in Babylon 5, you lay out the scenarios and you let people draw their own conclusions. I will leave a background. I will try and write up notes on what I was trying to convey if people want to know more, and hopefully it will become to that people will find my stories interesting, that people will want more, and I'd like to give them answers for what I want. But people are free to draw their own conclusions and argue the points and hopefully come to greater understanding of each other. I want to thank you for listening. I hope you liked this video. I'd really appreciate your help and suggestions. So please comment below. Let me know what you think. Also, if you're trying to write something yourself, leave a link below. If you're doing something similar, more than happy to help anyone out. So, like I said, please comment below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, thumbs down. Either is good. At least it lets me know where I'm going. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for any updates or notifications from this channel. Thank you once again, and God bless.